Hello. I chose to explore how society influences gender and how that carries on into our schools. First, I think media plays a large role. Media tells girls how they need to act, what they need to do, what they need to like, and what they need to wear. And then girls feel that pressure in a school setting to perform like a girl. Um, and that leads into media's take on what a girl is and what a boy is. And after taking this class and reading many different perspectives, I've become more open minded. So before this course, I might have kind of bought into, oh yeah, like that's definitely for a boy and that's for a girl. But now that I'm more open minded, I'm able to see that there's not just one way that a boy is or that a girl is, and it's really just, everyone's different, and gender shouldn't even play into how you're defined. But there are common stereotypes, like for boys, they're tough and aggressive and violent, and then girls are sweet and dramatic and prissy, which also leads into media's take on what types of things are for girls and what types of things are for boys. And even in the daycare I work at, there are plenty of girls that will play with trucks and cars and the types of stuff that media would put on TV and gear towards boys. And that leads to my experiences too. I grew up with three older brothers, and so I liked to play sports and stuff, but at recess, it wasn't acceptable for me to do that because I was a girl, and it was a boys only type ordeal. Some more of what I experienced in both primary and elementary school was many of my teachers seemed to favor girls. So us girls kind of got used to that attention, and we were held more accountable. And so because of the higher expectations, we would perform the way they expected us to. And kind of threw me off in fifth grade when I had a teacher that didn't really like girls. And as soon as we acted differently than the way she expected us to, she would send us right to the guidance counselor. We would have to talk out our problems and why we weren't friends with everyone and why we had to be so dramatic. And then also, society has created an impression that teaching is now for females. And it's odd because it used to be a man's job and now it's become a woman's job all of a sudden, and it really doesn't make much sense. I personally think that anyone who is good with kids and has a passion for learning and knows their content should be able to teach, and that your gender shouldn't even play into what kind of a teacher you are. So, in my future career as an educator, to make sure that girls are given an equal opportunity, I will not hold any expectations for either gender, and I will just really try to get to know each child as an individual, get to know them personally, so I know what it is that each student likes and what works well for them, rather than just assuming because she's a girl she'll love pink and she can connect with this the way that I teach her.
Like during a beauty pageant, I think of a girl. For like baseball and TV, I think of like a boy. When I see princesses on TV, I think of girls. When I see hunting things on TV, I think of boys.
I think that media contributes to it by gearing certain toys, like through commercials, towards specific genders.
I think society sometimes expects that girls will behave better than boys.
my class, boys are just crazy. Boys like to talk a lot in my class.
Boys were show-offs when I was in school. I just remember that they could do whatever they wanted to do to get attention.
Well, having 3 boys of my own, I feel that they are very impulsive, hyper, and don't always make the best decisions.
Girls in my class, they feel like they can do everything. Like, they can just, like, get up in class and do anything. Girls in my class are sweet and positive.
I remember girls, when I went to school, being rule followers and always well-behaved.
Well, I've had one daughter, and I feel that she has made wiser decisions and thinks about things a little more than a boy would.
I actually think that a boy would use a toy train and a girl would probably wear high heels. Dresses are for girls and ties are for boys.
For the boys, guns were typically something that they were allowed to have that girls were not encouraged to have, and definitely purses for girls.
Well, I grew up playing with Barbie dolls, and I feel that was more definitely for girls. And my brother had Tonka trucks, and that was definitely geared more towards boys.
I feel like girls can do anything boys can do, so. No, my teacher treats boys and girls the same.
Yes, when I was in school, boys and girls were separated in PE class.
Shop class, I feel that was a tough thing for me back in the 70s.
I think that meteorologists, they'd probably be for both girl and boy, so I'd say both. Actually, I think it's both because anyone could see pets and help them.
But typically in the education field, it's mostly women.
I would say feminine only because I work in a primary school and the bulk of our staff is female.
My teacher is really kind of annoyed by boys in my class this year, I think, because they're so crazy. And she kind of calls on more girls and likes girls better. My teacher usually calls on more boys because girls are more well-behaved.
I remember the teacher favoring the girls more, typically because the boys had more behavioral issues and tended to need a little more attention than the girls.
I personally didn't experience any of that, but as a parent, I had a son and a daughter that had the same teacher, and she definitely favored girls over boys.
The boys in my class don't usually get to choose where they sit, but the girls do. Because, like, the boys, like, they don't listen, and the girls do, so it's kind of unfair. My teacher treats boys and girls the same way.
I actually think that the teachers need to change the way that they look at the students. I think there's a lot of stereotypes on male and female students.
I would say to treat a girl as an individual and not think of her as just a girl.
So after reading gender lessons and reflecting on my own personal experiences and listening to the experiences of my family members, I'm able to see the current expectations for girls in education. So first, there's a lot of pressure for girls to be beautiful. They need to wear dresses and high heels and have purses. So very much like Anne Sprankle and Jessie Malloy from the book. So then characters like Kyle didn't fit in because she didn't want to wear all that. So it was like weird because she's supposed to play this role of a girl. So then socially, the current expectations are that girls are to be well behaved and to follow the rules. So they need to be compliant and they shouldn't cause problems like a boy would. So that's a lot of pressure with all those strict guidelines. And I honestly think that's why so many girls today are perfectionists. Like me, myself, I have always felt a lot of pressure to do really well in school and in all my activities. And I think this will continue to happen to many girls who feel this pressure to perform that way. So then, academically, girls are to be smart but not do well in subjects like math and science, which are for some reason thought to be better subjects for boys. And then also things like gym class and tech ed, girls aren't supposed to perform as well, because girls aren't thought to be athletic or handy or tech savvy. And then emotionally, there's a lot of expectations for girls to be dramatic and to have a lot of feelings and be super emotional. So girls like Marissa and Dana from the book, who were constantly sent to the guidance counselor to talk out their issues. And it's like my friends and I in 5th grade who were sent to the guidance counselor, even though there were several boys that year that also had issues, but they were just sent straight to the principal's office. And then these current expectations stay with girls as they graduate and they go into the work field, because there are certain careers that we encourage more women to go into, like education and to be secretaries or nurses. And we don't think that girls will succeed in careers that involve math or science. So I thought that was real interesting when I did the interview with my oldest niece, who loves science and weather and wants to become a meteorologist, because typically we tend to discourage girls from going into careers like this. And I hope that if that's truly what she wants to do, then she continues to aspire towards this and doesn't feel pressure to change her mind and go into a field that we encourage more women to go into. I also thought it was interesting that my nieces were kind of oblivious to the fact that things in school might not be fair for them. And even my mom couldn't think back to her experiences very well and draw examples from her education. So, but when thinking of someone else, they kind of noticed more of the stereotypes. So this girlhood that we have created in our schools, it really needs to come to an end, and we as future educators need to think in our classrooms how to stop the current expectations for girls and treat all of our students the same, and just encourage our students to be individuals and whoever they want to be, and they don't have to fit the certain role of a girl. They just need to be true to themselves.